All right, hey guys, Sanch here. Welcome back to another episode of Bodybuilding News Today. And let's go ahead and get right into this one. I know you guys have been waiting for this since the last upload. Side by side shot comparisons of my prediction for this year's top three in the 212 class at this year's 2020 Mr. Olympia. Let's go ahead and roll into it. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel and enjoy bodybuilding news content and bodybuilding news in general, definitely consider subscribing. We have lots more content. And let's go ahead and do what you guys love the most on this channel is let's do some side-by-side comparisons of arguably the best shots that these guys have done in recent history. Obviously, Kamal Elgargni, first place at the 2019 Mr. Olympia 212. Derek Lunsford, second place at the same show. And George Peterson with his 212 Pro debut at Tampa 2020. So what do we see here? What do we like here? Now, I like Kamal's conditioning. I think overall he has a very good package. But then you look at Derek, and I think Derek is coming in very sharp, very close on his heels. Derek is a much younger competitor, a lot more years to get more size, more conditioning. Arguably, Derek doesn't need more size. What he needs is to come in shape. And I'll play a video later on with the side-by-sides of the 2018 and 2019, and you guys can make a judgment call for yourselves on what we can expect from Derek this year in terms of conditioning based on the last 2 years of competing. And on the left, George Peterson, amazing, beautiful shape, beautiful flow, great conditioning, very sharp lines. The only thing I want to say about this is if you look at his chest, it's he's not pushing the chest forward and filling up his chest cavity with air. He's keeping everything flat, the midsection very tight and hard. For this shot, it's really not a front and double for him. It's an ab shot. That's what he's focusing on. That's what he wants you to see is that midsection. Whereas if you look at Kamal and Derek, they have their chest popped up, their lungs full of air, and they're really emphasizing the chest and arms. Front lat spread, this one's a tough one. Now, I like Kamal. He has the conditioning, and for the most part, he has the size. Whereas Derek is very flat here. It's obviously not the best shot for him, the best picture. There really wasn't anything decent on the NPC News Online, a very consistent theme with this show, but I digress. And George Peterson, of course, looking very good. Midsection still sharp, legs sharp. I don't know if Derek's, based on this shot, would have what it takes to knock. I don't know if George has what it takes in this shot at this very moment to knock Derek off of second. But I think if Kamal brings the exact same package he did last year, and Derek brings exactly what he brought last year to this year, if nothing changes this year, I don't think the standings are going to change at all. I think Kamal has exactly what the judges are looking for right now. I think that there are better legs in the 212, but Kamal is a great embodiment of what 212 is and what 212 should be. Variations of the side tricep. I really like George here. His midsection is insane. He looks amazing. I don't think you can really debate this shot. Derek does look very nice in this shot, so it definitely would come down to conditioning at the Mr. Olympia on whether or not George or Derek take this shot. I think Kamal looks a little narrow in the legs. Now, I cannot gloss over the oblique development in striations and conditioning. He looks amazing, but sometimes conditioning doesn't win shows alone. Back double. Now, I really just want to give hands down to Derek here. Just pure size in the back, in the legs, in the glutes, everywhere. I think George needs a little bit more time, a few more years in the 212 to really come in and compete with these pro, very elite level 212 guys. But George does look like he could keep his own. I think he could still place in that first call out, the very high first call out with this back. But he's definitely not in the caliber of winning this shot. And Kamal just looks small next to Derek. Back lat again. Now this one's almost questionable. George, I think, actually has a better back than Kamal. Crucify me if you may, but he does have a very wide back. He looks fantastic. Glutes were not activated at all, so I think that's something he needs to focus on, George. Make sure your glutes are contracted. Don't rush into things. And maybe this is just a bad shot, and I apologize if this is a terrible picture. This was the best picture I could get off of NPC News Online. And Derek obviously winning this shot handsomely. And a variation of the ab and thigh here. Kamal doing more of a most muscular, but I couldn't find one with him spiking the quad as George and Derek are. Now, I'm not going to say this is a pretty shot for Derek right now. With the lack of conditioning, he does look very soft. The huge chest muscles just look like slabs of beef with no conditioning. The legs look weird. They look almost Rami-esque, except they actually have conditioning, whereas Rami does not, or separation or anything. They just look like glue-on muscles. But I will say that he does have feathering in the quads and the teardrops. So he does have conditioning. It's just it doesn't really go all the way up the leg. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can see on that right side of the quad, you can see the feathering, you can see the deep cuts going up that quad sweep. But on that left leg, it's just not a very complimentary shot for him, whereas George, I think, looks much better doing his variation. And it's not really fair to compare them to Kamal because he's doing the most muscular. But Kamal, I mean, handsomely wins this shot. This would be his take-home shot. I mean, the bicep separation, the delt separation, and the feathering, the midsection, the chest. I mean, come on, he looks insane. And we'll leave it there for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoy bodybuilding news today and bodybuilding news in general, definitely consider subscribing. We have lots of more content coming out in the near future. And if you guys would like to support me on a personal level, you can always go to goldenarrownutrition.com and you can use my sponsored athlete code SANJ15 at checkout. And if you guys want to get any other supplement inquiries or supplement stuff and clothing and whatnot and shakers, you can go to suppz.com and you can use my Armed Forces Ambassador code SANJ10 at checkout. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for a side-by-side comparison in the next video with my top 3 predictions, just like this video, but we're going to be doing shot for shot. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.